Okay, it says we're live.
We're started. Awesome. So who wants to give us a synopsis of the case?
I can.
Thanks, Anne.
So Erin Kennedy kind of had this idea from going to a noodle house in New York of different noodles from all over the place, and he was kind of like his dream business. So he eventually left the company he was working for, and he started raising funds and building his business. He started out with one location and spread to two in Colorado. And now he's kind of to the point where he wants to expand even further. Like he wants to have like 100 locations in the next like 3 or 4 years. Can't remember what it said. But he doesn't have the capital to do that. So he's kind of trying to figure out how he's going to fund his expansion without sacrificing the culture that he worked so hard to build.
Which totally makes sense. Because it sounds like they put together a pretty nice culture. Okay, so our first question is, what is the fast casual segment?
Sorry, what?
What is the fast casual segment?
Oh. It's fast, but not really fast. Not fast food, but it's not sit down.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a nicer quality, so it's not fast food. It's a nicer quality of food, and no tipping.
Yeah, order at the counter. So they bring you your food. It's a nicer quality.
It's like an interim step, like you're a step above fast food, but you're not quite fine dining, is what it seems like to me.
Yeah.
All right, and what is the challenge facing Noodles and Company within this segment?
Are you still there, Yuri? Did we lose you?
I see her.
Yeah, she's been stuck like that for a little bit though. So.
Oh, it's frozen. Yeah, you're right. It's frozen.
Everyone's having struggles tonight.
Let's give her a second. Yeah. Or do you want me to just answer the question?
Let's give her just a little bit longer.
Give her a minute or two. Well, how are you doing this week?
Doing pretty good.
Good.
I'm actually pretty, like, a little crazy at work, but pretty easy.
That's nice.
So.
There she is.
Kind of.
Make connection tomorrow.
Your internet's not liking you much more than mine's liking me.
No, I thought I was going to have more issues than yours. I thought I was going to be the first one to go.
Okay, so our next question is, what is the challenge facing Noodles and Company within the segment?
There's just a lot of people coming into that market.
Yeah, a lot of competition.
And a lot of the competition is like already established. Sorry. Go ahead.
I was thinking also the completely new concept. It's going to be different than what you see out there.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a challenge too.
Yeah, and their competition seems to have deep pockets. Like it's backed by a Wendy's or a McDonald's, or although it's not them per se, but it's still their money backing these other, what is it?
Yeah, like partnerships.
Yeah, the other, where is it?
Like McDonald's has like a partnership with Fazoli's and Chipotle.
Yes.
And Wendy's is doing some other one that I've never heard of, but. And then like P.F. Chang's is Payway. I didn't know that. So I was like, oh, really?
Exactly. I had no idea. All right. So right now, the specific challenge facing Noodles and Company is, what are they going to choose to do to expand? Are they going to franchise? Are they going to get together with another bigger company? Because I guess they've had quite a few offers. Some offers look more promising than others. And then, of course, when you're getting together with another company, will the culture fit? How much will it change? So.
I thought like another interesting one, that like a couple things else that mentioned in there that were problems. It could just sell to someone else, or it could just continue to grow slowly on its own, like organically. And so I thought, and it mentioned in there something that really kind of stood out to me, but it said that they had like, because a lot of people had invested, like we had to think about those offers to just sell because our job is to increase the shareholders' value. And so I hadn't really thought about that. Like when you get investors, they expect something in return. And I mean, like, yeah, sure, it's money so I can start my company, but they're expecting a payout at some point.
Exactly.
So that was interesting to me.
Okay, so of the options that were available, if we're if we're Noodles and Company, which option would we choose?
I was having a hard time choosing because I've worked for a franchise company. I'm not going to mention it because they've threatened to sue me, and this is videotaped, so I'm not going to mention which company I work for. But my experience was very, I've always said I loved working for that particular company as a whole because their brand is amazing, their concept is amazing. I loved it, but I did not like the owners, the owner operators. So from my personal experience is like the owner operators can really ruin your concept of a franchise and can ruin your reputation and everything. So experience, obviously, if it's about getting the money, then yeah, obviously franchising is a better option.
And that's the thing when it comes to getting money from somewhere else, is you always will lose a portion of that control. If you get a partner, you're going to lose some of that control. Franchise, you're going to lose some of that control. If you go public, you could lose some of that control because you have to have a board and all that stuff. So there's always that risk if you're not, and even like as you grow, just even more growth over time, you lose control. Just because.
That was one of their concerns, was if they grow too rapidly that they wouldn't be able to keep the corporate culture that they put together, and that too much change would happen too quickly. I did like how carefully they were. I got to get to the right page. Just a sec. They did a really great job with their hiring and retention, which is impressive. And I wonder if, looking at the franchising option, if they could do, if they could be that careful with their owner and operators, then that brings it down a little bit. Because where is it? On page 11, they've been really like, there's a 150 to 200% turnover in most restaurants, and their numbers are way under. And it's because, on kind of towards the bottom on page 11, we focus on growth from within. Our people don't leave. We have students who have worked in our Madison store who came to college here in Boulder and now work in our stores here. The GM of our highest volume location started out for us as a freshman, in her freshman year of college as a line cook, and she is a rock star. But they take existing groups of employees and put them into, at least small groups, and put them into new stores. so that they're helping to train, or they take the new GMs and put them in existing stores again to help with the training to make sure that the culture. I wonder if they have a plan, something like that in place, if that would help with the owner operators. And then that makes the because I liked the franchising option the best. It still kept, it allowed them to do the growth that they want to do with, without some of the strings of having a partner or something, because we already saw that with Amazon and Zappos, how Zappos had this really great company culture and all this great stuff, and then they let Amazon take over, and it's not what it once was. Anybody else?
I know I like what you said, Laura, because I was having, that's what I was talking with Ann prior to you connecting. I haven't done the write-up because I was having such a hard time thinking. I'm like, franchising, and I just have such negative experience from working in a franchise that my brain could not I'm like, why would you want to franchise? I know that's a good idea, but why would you want to do that? I worked for horrible people. But I like how you're saying if they could add that concept from who they were hiring to who they would franchise out to. You can't just franchise out to a person that says, oh, I got this amount of money. And maybe those people could be like, okay, I could give you a piece of the share, but I won't give you a store.
Yeah.
And you know how they said they were doing testing, how they would test their employees, but maybe put a test to the future franchise person, test them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think if they have like a good solid plan in place, that was really hard to say, for future franchisees, then I think that it could work. But you still have that risk. There'll always be some amount of risk when you're expanding.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, in their little. The other thing that in the hints it says some of their other problems that says meeting the unanticipated growth, external threats, and internal turmoil. So, like, yeah, we're talking about if they have the right kind of plan in place, then franchising seems like the best option. The external threats are definitely there because at that time there was a lot of this market was a new segment, so there was this starting to be a lot of competition, and yeah, if you don't meet your growth rates, if you don't make your benchmarks, it's a sink or swim kind of situation. All right, what's our next question? All right, they want to know, is working full-time as an employee while developing a new business a good idea or a bad idea?
Is it referring to that person who was working at the business and trying to help them build it?
I don't know.
I don't know if he's talking about Kennedy himself or.
Yeah, I think they're talking about him himself when he was getting started.
I think he was very upfront with the company he was working for, and I think that was helpful. Because he said, like, this is my plan. I'm here just for a little while I get this going. And I think that was helpful, so the company kind of knew what his end goal was.
Yeah.
And he still worked hard while he was there, but it was an easier transition out for him, I think. But I definitely think there's like difficulties in that as well. Like trying to start a business while you were fine.
You have your divided loyalties, kind of, and honestly, there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, people have to sleep, and usually they have families.
The company pretty fast, though. For I wish I could do that. Build a company, let it be successful, and have a few franchises within months of each other. I'm like, and he's
and he had a huge job. Because if he hadn't made it past those first 2 stores restaurants where all the trouble was, there wouldn't be a Noodles and Company. So there was a big learning curve for him there in the first 5 years. But yeah, in the E-Myth it was saying in our E-Myth I think is my other class. Okay, I was reading a book from my other class called The E-Myth, which is basically the entrepreneur myth. And it says 80% of all businesses fail in the first 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So, so Noodles and Company making it past that benchmark is a big deal.
Yeah.
All right. Can Noodles and Company maintain their corporate culture through aggressive growth? Why or why not? I think they have a good plan in place. If they continue doing what they're doing, they can keep their corporate culture.
Yeah. It'll be harder.
Yeah.
But if they can get their managers in the stores and like more local people to have the same vision and to feel the same ownership that Aaron Kennedy feels, then it's easier to keep that culture going. But you have to be able to get that vision and that like care about the company in on the lower levels of management or the middle levels of management in order to maintain that, I think.
Well, and they've maintained it as a focal point, which is important. I think as soon as you lose that as a focus, then when it becomes less important, then you don't stay after it. You don't make it happen.
Yeah.
So the next questions are kind of about their early results. What was the result of their early openings? They didn't really have processes put together, and the food was not that great.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Anybody else?
And they didn't realize they were losing money. I can't believe they didn't keep track of it until they brought, I forgot who they brought on board.
Yeah, it took like 4 months or 5 months for them to figure out they were losing money. Yeah, that hurts. Yeah, and then the other question about the early results is, what was their organizational structure and team culture? How did that impact their early results? I don't think they had a team concept. What do you think in the beginning?
We lost you, Edie.
Uh-oh, she's gone again.
Oh, and she's back. Hey. But I think she cut out like right when you were saying that question. So when she comes back in. Maybe.
Yeah, it's blue. I'm waiting to see her face, and then I'll ask the question again. Oh, she's almost there. There she is. Okay.
So my thought.
The other question was, the next question about the early results was, what was their organizational structure and team culture? And I said I didn't really think they had a team concept at all there at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, it said at the beginning.
I don't think so.
The guy that was working for Pizza Hut, he wasn't really there full time. He was still there, so they kind of still weren't fully committed, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
Like they were making sure that they still had an income, which is important, I think. But still, they didn't have a full management team yet, and so it was still kind of a trial and error time frame. But they even talked about how their general managers of their 2 stores were working 85 hours, and that was definitely hurting them there too. So
it's gonna
not in place yet.
Yeah. Well, and they hadn't overcome the substandard food problem, or the poor processes problem, or the poor performance. They all kind of led into each other. Yeah. This isn't going well, which is causing this to not go well, which is kind of,
yeah.
So kind of several hurdles they had to overcome. Okay.
I think
Sorry, you're eating.
Yeah, I didn't catch that.
No, I was just saying they improved so the lack of money that they had at the beginning and the lack of experience.
Yeah.
Really shined through, but as they were able to get more funds and get more people on board knowing what they're doing full time, I think they were able to improve the company throughout the time.
Yeah.
But I think at least they recognized the need for certain people, and they added like a CFO, and I forgot what other position they added.
Yeah.
They added a few positions to improve the company.
The next question is saying their mantra, every guest, every bowl, every time. How did that help form their corporate culture? And how did it help them? How does it drive corporate profits and structure?
I think that's referring to consistency. Like, you know, every bowl needs to be the same as it was. So it's maintaining quality throughout.
Yeah.
Every customer deserves the same high quality experience at each visit. Like, I went to a little restaurant by my house the other day, and I love trying new little places that pop up. And I went there, and it was so good. And I went back 2 weeks later, and it was so terrible. And I'm like, oh, am I ever going to go back there again? Because it's kind of a hit and miss. Like, is it going to be good or is it going to be disgusting? So it's kind of along those lines. Like, let's make sure people are happy that like the food tastes the same and still tastes good, and they get treated well every time they come
on a consistent basis. That's huge. Yeah. Well, that mantra makes it really clear what the performance expectations are.
Yeah.
And it's something that's easy to understand and easy to remember.
Yeah.
I think our customers value, even though and value does not necessarily mean how much a bowl of pasta or noodles costs. Experience and what you get out of it. Value all together in one as far as the customer experience.
Yeah. Value. I like what you said about value. It's more than just what you pay. Like, you're paying not just for food, you're paying for the service and the experience, and it's all supposed to be there. So.
Well, and it wasn't until later that they had, that they were worried about like the ambiance and the customer experience. Like, it was at that time when they created their mantra that they really kind of figured out, this is how we want to be experienced by our customers. This is how we want to be seen, and we want it to be the same every time.
Yeah.
All right.
And it shouldn't matter what store they go into. It should be the same, whether I go to the one in LA or New York or Texas. I need to be able to taste the same food.
Exactly. And the same service.
Yeah.
So we got like 4 questions left. So growth strategy for the future. How do they plan to expand?
Like, how did they? Like, what did they end up doing? Or
yeah, it says hint: expand offering and increase reach to additional stores in the Midwest, and eventually expand to Europe.
Okay, so they plan to expand to new, like, regional, like, not markets, meaning like different food groups necessarily, but to different states and different areas,
different regions.
So they want, different regions. But they also wanted to continually change up their food and like be innovative in their food, I think, is something else they mentioned in there.
Yeah. Well, we get bored. Even you have 2 or 3 favorites. If there's only 2 or 3 favorites and you keep going there and you keep going, you're like, yeah, I can't do that again.
And also, if one dish just isn't selling, then why are you still making it? Try something new. Find something else that people can love. So,
what challenges do they face? I think we talked about that in the beginning, the challenge of, if we are franchising, how do we maintain a consistent culture and keep the processes consistent? with all that increased pressure of more competition in this new segment.
Something else I mentioned a lot was real estate, like having enough money to get the good real estate before McDonald's does. You know, it's kind of a being early into the market.
Location. It's not just about your house. Did you try and say something, Yuridi? Did we cut you off?
No, I was just thinking about like their challenges, you know, and I was telling gosh, my brain's not working.
Okay.
Telling Anne earlier, like with the recession and all, I was thinking about that, but the recession would actually benefit them in their growth. Come, you know, 2007, 2008, that would actually work to their benefit because places like this would benefit from a recession because more people are cheap. And I thought it was going to hit them hard, but now that I think about it, it's not going to.
Yeah.
The part that I found really interesting was it more important to be first to market or to be best in market? And I don't think those are easy to choose one or the other because you know there's kind of pluses and minuses either way.
Why can't you be both?
I think that all depends on money. Capitalization.
I live in Oregon. Well, I live in Oregon, and it seems everything comes last, especially where I live in Central Oregon. We don't have Olive Garden a few years ago. That was freaking exciting. But there's so many
I'm in Oklahoma right now. We have a Walmart. That's it.
Oh, right. We don't have a Walmart here. I have to travel to go to Walmart, a half an hour, 45 minutes to get to Walmart. But I know what you mean. I'm just like, some people just need to expand. So I looked up the places, and there's one close. I have to travel about 2.5 hours to get to this the noodle company. But I'm like, I'm gonna try it one day when I go to the temple.
Yeah, for us, it's Target and Olive Garden, and anything other than a McDonald's is about 45 minutes to an hour away. Yep.
Well, I live in Salt Lake, so I am not in your boat. Sorry.
I'm grateful for your blessing. Not a problem. Okay, so we did the challenges. It sounds like the three of us all like the franchise idea.
Yeah.
Were you kind of tempted by any of the other models, any of the other ideas, or because honestly, when I was reading it, franchise seemed like the best option to me.
The only thing that I don't know, I'm like such an independent, like do it myself kind of person. That one always sounds like can they do it by themselves any way possible? It's like keep the control if at all possible. But if they're like if you need to expand and you need the money and you're down to these options of them, I think franchising is the best way to go.
In order for them to achieve the growth rate that they were going for, it really did look like it was the only option.
Yeah, that or getting a big partner, but then you risk losing even more control.
The whole Zappos Amazon thing, that red flag just threw itself right up there as soon as I was like, yeah, partner. That's a tough choice.
Well, when you're franchising, though, in your franchise, you have a contract with what you need to meet in the requirements. You can actually be very strict to franchise your business. You control your prices, you control your looks, you control where you're gonna be, and also if the franchisee does not follow the rules, they can lose it too. So yeah, a lot of stipulations in the contract as far as franchising goes in order for them to keep as much control as possible.
Well, it has to be, because if you've made a brand and you have a culture and people come to expect, it's those expectations, consistency, level of customer service, it has to stay that way, or you're going to walk into a Noodles and Company and be like, this is not a Noodles and Company. Wait a minute. Okay, so the last two questions. How can an organizational culture make or break a strategy in any company?
I think Noodles and Company's organizational culture made Noodles and Company. They knew how to make even the frontline employees feel a part of the growth of the company, and I think that's important. If you're trying to grow your company, you need to make sure that everyone feels connected to it and important to that process. Else, you're going to spend a lot of time training and hiring, which is very expensive. And I think their attention to making sure that every employee felt a part of that growth made their growth strategy possible.
Reading the case study, it really felt like their culture started to gel right after they came up with that 15-point list. Once they really got specific about, this is where our main problems are, this is what we need to fix, and then they put together those processes, that was when it really started to flip and things started to gel. And
I think that as far as organization.
Go ahead, Yuri.
Oh, I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
As far as our organizational structure goes, I think they're very open to change. Like you said, they made that list and not change. They went at that list and then they went out to more soup, to other soup companies, to see what they were doing or what they were doing wrong, and then try to get whatever they were doing right back into their company. So I think that as far as they're willing to change it in order for it to get better, which I think is good, because sometimes people get stuck in their old ways.
Yeah, and that doesn't work for good business.
Yeah, I read an article while I was doing my case study about people who are early to market, how then they have to maintain that. Just because you get there first and you have the largest market share doesn't mean that you're going to be able to keep that. You have to remember what got you there and keep doing those things. Keep looking to improve, keep looking to innovate, to change, and to bring in new customers. You can't get complacent. And so I think that that's important to their growth strategy as well. Like, don't get complacent. Don't just let everything happen to you. You have to be an active participant in your growth and in your future.
Well, and I think what helped get them there was when they decided, when they made it important to say, okay, how do I see this from a customer perspective? And that's like if it wasn't their number one question, it was their number two question. From a customer perspective, are they going to be happy? Are they going to like it? How, are they going to enjoy it? That was like their main thing. And that, I think that's one of the things that got them the market share that they did get. And if they keep that, are they going to like it? What do we need to change? Are they going, like Yuridi was saying, being ready to make the changes, not just ask the questions, made a big difference. All right, and I've lost my place. Where's the next one? What fundamental changes need to be made to rectify the situation? Provide examples. I think that's going back to when they were, at the beginning, when they didn't have their act together. I think we kind of already talked about that. What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I went looking for some articles to use as a conclusion, and I didn't really find any that I was impressed with.
I found we don't have it up anymore, but I can tell you what they did.
Thank you. They chose franchising. I know that's that's the way they went.
Yeah, it said that they chose franchising, but they didn't franchise everything. They still kept a large portion of their own companies. And they had a whole lot of requirements for the franchisees. They first of all had to have other franchises, so they wouldn't sell to a first-time franchisee. They wanted someone who's experienced. They also had a corporate buddy, pretty much, that came to their store and trained them how to run the store, or they went to their store. But they did a lot to train the new franchise owners. They had like manuals. They would take their entire staff and put them in other stores and let them train in other stores. And they made sure that they had someone there to train them and to help them get on their feet and make sure everything was flowing the way it should before
Similar
they
to
left
the
them.
retention processes and stuff with the employees.
Mhm.
Cool.
So that's what I read. I don't have the article up anymore. I closed it like yesterday, probably like 6 minutes before we started.
Could you find it and maybe email me a link or something?
I can look for it.
Maybe it's in your history or something.
Probably.
That'd be awesome. All right. Any last comments? Edie, Ann, anything?
Because I was completely clueless as to what to write up, but now you guys have given me so much idea. And I'm definitely going to look into the benefits of going early into the market or best market. It's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, just those questions that kind of rolled around in my brain for a little while. I was like, well, first to market, that could give you significant advantage, but best to market, I think that has more longevity.
Mm-hmm.
This was a good one. Not my favorite, but a good one. Okay, thank you, ladies. Anything else before we go?
I'm good.
Okay. Monday morning.
We don't have one next week.
So that's the one that we don't have one next week.
Yeah, his schedule is wrong. So.
Okay.
So I guess I'll post the link because I have access to it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'm sorry that you had struggles with your internet.
Well, honestly, it's since I'm not going to have anything fixed until the 14th. I'm kind of glad that I was going to have to bug a friend and be like, "Hi."
Okay. I understand why you won't.
So, not next week. So who's in charge for the week after then?
Greedy.
Me.
Okay.
Okay. I think it's the last one, isn't it?
I think you're right.
So, unless the schedule is off again. So. Okay.
All right, and see you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.